Did you know that the world's biggest energy drink company actually sells a product that people initially said tasted like cough medicine and battery acid? It sounds like a total business nightmare, right? But somehow, that weird tasting liquid in the blue and silver can turned into a global empire that literally everyone recognizes. We are diving deep into the messy, high-stakes history of Red Bull today. A brand that didn't just find a market, it manufactured a global obsession out of thin air. This isn't your typical corporate success story where everything goes right from day one. In fact, it was almost a disaster before it even started. Forget the sleek tech offices or the Silicon Valley garages for a second. This story starts with a very jet-lagged Austrian businessman named Dietrich Mateschitz. The year was 1982, and Dietrich was wandering through the humid, buzzing streets of Bangkok. He was there on business for a toothpaste company, feeling absolutely exhausted from the flight. That's when he stumbled upon something called Kratting Ding. It was a thick, syrupy tonic sold in small glass bottles, mostly marketed to Thai truck drivers and construction workers who needed to stay awake through grueling double shifts. Mateschitz took a sip, and suddenly, his jet lag was gone. He felt electric. He realized right then that the Western world had nothing like this. But here's the kicker. Can you actually believe he quit his high-paying, secure corporate job just to sell a drink that literally didn't exist in the West? Everyone thought he was losing his mind. He was betting his entire life savings on a Thai trucker syrup. When he finally brought the idea back to Europe, the early taste tests were a total and utter disaster. Participants absolutely hated the flavor. They complained it was too sweet, too medicinal, and just plain weird, but Dietrich didn't care about their feedback. He knew something they didn't. He wasn't selling a refreshment, he was selling a functional miracle. The drama didn't stop at the taste buds though. For years, Red Bull was actually banned in several European countries. Governments were terrified of the dangerous levels of taurine and caffeine. There were whispers and rumors everywhere that it was some kind of liquid drug, but you know what? That legal chaos was the best marketing they could have ever asked for. It gave the brand a bad boy reputation that made every teenager want a can. It was the forbidden fruit of the beverage world. Instead of spending millions on traditional boring TV commercials, they used guerrilla tactics that were straight up genius. Have you ever heard the rumor about them leaving empty cans in nightclub trash cans? They did that to make it look like everyone was already drinking it. They'd drive around in minis with giant cans on top, handing out free samples to students and partygoers. They were creating a vibe, a movement, a total identity crisis for the soda industry. Was it a drink or was it a lifestyle? Dietrich realized he wasn't just selling sugar, he was selling wings. He was selling the idea that you could be faster, smarter, and more adventurous just by popping a tab. Before we continue this wild journey into the secret partnerships and the space jumps that define the brand, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The mystery surrounding the ingredients only added to the allure, making it the most talked about beverage of the decade. People weren't just buying a drink, they were buying an entry ticket into an exclusive club of high performers and adrenaline junkies. The transition from a simple Thai tonic to a global phenomenon required more than just a good recipe. It required a complete reimagining of what a brand could be in the modern age. Every move was calculated to disrupt the status quo and keep people talking. They were just getting started with their plan to take over the planet. It was pure magic. Behind every massive success, there's usually a duo that makes the magic happen. And for Red Bull, it was the ultimate odd couple partnership. You had Dietrich Mateschitz, the media-shy Austrian marketing genius who knew how to sell a dream, and Chaleo Uvidya, the secretive Thai billionaire who actually invented the original Kratting Ding formula. It's wild because they weren't just business partners. They were like two sides of the same coin, balancing Western flair with Eastern roots. Let's talk about the secret deal they struck because it's one of the most successful and private business partnerships ever. They decided on a 49-49 split with the remaining 2% going to Chaleo's son, Chalerm Uvidya. This tiny 2% share was the master key, giving the Uvidya family the majority control while allowing Dietrich the absolute freedom to run the show in the West. Can you imagine the level of trust involved there? No boards or shareholders, just two men and a vision to wake up the planet. This secrecy allowed them to move fast and take insane risks that would make a normal CEO faint from stress. And speaking of risks, let's get into the juicy stuff that everyone was talking about in the early days. Do you remember the crazy urban legend that taurine was actually extracted from bull testicles? Seriously, it was everywhere. People were absolutely convinced that's why it gave you so much energy and power. And now, did Red Bull rush out to deny it immediately? Heck no, they leaned into the mystery and let the rumors fly. It was a marketing masterstroke of the highest order. By letting people whisper about the dangerous or gross ingredients, they built a brand that felt edgy and underground. Whether it was a PR nightmare or a stroke of genius, it worked like a charm because it kept the brand in every single conversation. It turned a simple beverage into a forbidden curiosity that everyone had to try at least once. But they couldn't just rely on rumors forever. They needed to prove they were as extreme as their reputation suggested. That's when Red Bull stopped being just a drink and started becoming a lifestyle. They began strategically associating themselves with the most dangerous sports on the planet to build a cool factor that money simply couldn't buy. They started sponsoring athletes that traditional brands wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. We're talking about base jumpers, extreme mountain bikers, and people who literally risk their lives for a thrill. They weren't just putting a tiny logo on a jersey, they were funding the wild dreams of adrenaline junkies. This strategy made the brand feel authentic to a young, bored audience looking for excitement. Then came the biggest flex of all, the Formula One takeover. In 2004, Dietrich decided to buy the failing Jaguar racing team. People in the elite racing world literally laughed at him. They called Red Bull just a fizzy drink company that had no business being on the track. But who's laughing now? They turned that struggling team into a championship-winning machine, proving that they could dominate any arena they entered. It wasn't just about racing. It was about showing the world that Red Bull could out-engineer and outperform the biggest names in the automotive industry. And who could forget the Stratos scandal? In 2012, the entire world stopped to watch Felix Baumgartner jump from the literal edge of space. This $50 million stunt was the ultimate gamble for the brand. If something went wrong, it would have been a global tragedy captured live on camera for millions to see. But when Felix stepped off that capsule and broke the sound barrier, Red Bull became legendary. It wasn't just a commercial anymore. It was a global event that captivated the human spirit. They proved they didn't just have wings, they had the guts to go where no brand had gone before. This leads us to their biggest secret. Red Bull isn't actually a drinks company anymore. It's a massive media house. Through the Red Bull content pool, they control the narrative of extreme sports globally. They own the high-definition footage, the dramatic stories, and the distribution rights. When you see a cool mountain bike video or a viral cliff diving clip, Red Bull probably produced it. They've managed to turn their marketing into the actual product itself. Of course, when you're at the top, everyone wants a piece of the pie. The monster in the room, Monster Energy, tried to take them down by offering bigger cans for lower prices, sparking the ultimate energy drink wars. But Red Bull stayed firm. They kept their cans small and their prices high to maintain that premium, expensive status. They knew that people would pay more to be part of the Red Bull tribe. While dozens of clones popped up, Red Bull remained the gold standard, proving that a strong brand identity is worth more than any discount. They weren't just selling caffeine, they were selling the feeling of being invincible, and the world was buying every single drop. But as the old saying goes, with great power comes even greater scrutiny, and Red Bull definitely felt the heat. While the brand was busy conquering the stratosphere, a wave of public outcry started brewing back on Earth. Critics began raising their voices about the health implications of high caffeine consumption, especially among teenagers who were chugging these cans like they were simple sodas. Have you ever felt your heart racing after just one? Imagine a 14-year-old doing that regularly. Health regulators in several countries didn't just stop at warnings, they pushed for stricter age limits and labels. And then there's the ethics of it all. People started asking, is it right for a massive corporation to fund these dangerous, death-defying stunts? When an athlete pushes the limits for a Red Bull logo, are they being supported or just exploited for viral content? It's a heavy question that the brand has had to dodge for years. Despite the controversy, the Red Bull culture hasn't slowed down. In fact, it has migrated perfectly to social media. Have you noticed how every second extreme sports creator is trying to catch the brand's eye? Being a Red Bull athlete has become the ultimate status symbol for Gen Z and millennials. It's no longer just about the money, it's about that iconic blue and silver helmet that says you're part of the global elite. You see these creators doing wild backflips or terrifying mountain climbs, all hoping for that one golden DM from the official account. It's a genius cycle of free marketing where the audience does the work just for the chance to be associated with the legend. But the biggest shock to the empire came in 2022 with the passing of Dietrich Mateschitz. The marketing visionary who started it all was gone, leaving behind a billion-dollar legacy and a massive question mark over the company's future. What's happening behind the scenes now? Rumors are swirling about a quiet power struggle for the throne. While Dietrich's son, Mark Mateschitz, has taken a significant role, the balance of power with the Yuvidya family in Thailand is more delicate than ever. Will the 49-49 split continue to work without the original friendship between Dietrich and Chaleo Yuvidya that built it? It's like a real-life succession drama playing out in the boardrooms of Austria and Bangkok. As we look to the future, speculation is running wild about the next move. Is Red Bull moving away from being a drink company entirely? Many experts think they are transforming into a full-blown sports and entertainment conglomerate that just happens to sell cans on the side. But can they survive the new health-conscious era? With the rise of clean energy and wellness trends, the sugary, taurine-heavy original formula is facing stiff competition. Will we see a more natural Red Bull? They are definitely experimenting with new ingredients to keep the health-conscious crowd from jumping ship to the latest organic trends. This brings us to the ultimate question that keeps business students awake at night. Is Red Bull a marketing masterpiece or just the world's most successful placebo effect? Think about it. It's sugar, caffeine, and some vitamins in a tiny can. Does it actually give you wings, or does the branding just make you feel like you can fly? Either way, the results are undeniable. They took a Thai tonic for truckers and turned it into the fuel for the world's elite performers. What do you think? Would you have invested in a drink that everyone said tasted like medicine? Looking back, it's clear that Red Bull didn't just follow the rules. They rewrote the entire book. Whether they launch their own sports leagues or even a Red Bull planet in the future, they've changed the world of business forever. Stay tuned, because the world of corporate gossip is just as wild as the sports they sponsor. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the empires that run our world. See you